Hey everyone, and welcome. Now, I want you to forget about those sketchy texts and weird calls from numbers you don't know. The world of fraud has totally gone prime time, and the cons are bigger, bolder, and frankly, a lot more sophisticated than ever before. Today, we're diving into the new chronicles of financial deception. Yeah, we are living in a world where a scam isn't just some simple trick anymore. Nope, it's an elaborate performance, and it's often playing out on the world stage. The scale, the sophistication, it's just exploded. So, over the next few minutes, we are going to break down some of the most audacious, just unbelievable frauds of the last year. We're talking about a viral TikTok trend that swindled a government out of billions. A company with fake customers that was sold to JP Morgan for a fortune. And yeah, a crypto visionary who orchestrated a $10 billion theft. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So what's the thread connecting all of these wild stories? Well, it's the rise of a totally new kind of financial predator. And this is one that doesn't operate from the shadows, but right from the spotlight. That's right. The modern con artist, they're a public figure. They're on magazine covers, they're giving interviews, they're being celebrated as innovators and geniuses. They use the media and investors to build up this incredible brand that really just conceals a completely rotten core. And that's what makes them so incredibly dangerous. Let's kick things off with a world that has pretty much dominated the fraud headlines: cryptocurrency. You know, the stories of FTX and SafeMoon are just perfect examples of this whole new playbook. Okay, so take a look at the two faces of Sam Bankman-Fried, or SBF. On one hand, you have the public image he's so carefully crafted, this brilliant, kinda awkward nerd who just happened to get rich. But behind the scenes, oh, it was pure chaos. An operation run by a handful of friends with absolutely zero risk management. And what that really means is that there was no one stopping them from treating billions of dollars in customer funds like their own personal piggy bank. And the result of that chaos, it was catastrophic. At least $10 billion in customer money just vanished. A sister trading firm had lost it all on a bunch of super risky bets. And when investigators finally got a look inside, you know what they found? Basically nothing. No records, no controls, nothing. It was a complete house of cards that ended with SBF being found guilty on all 7 criminal counts. All right, next up is another crypto scheme, SafeMoon. I mean, the promise was right there in the name. Your investment would go safely to the moon. And their whole mechanism sounded pretty smart, right? A 10% fee on every transaction, with half of that locked away in something called a liquidity pool to keep the price stable. On paper, it looked foolproof. But here's the catch. The entire system was basically a lie. The creators had given themselves a secret backdoor to get into that supposedly locked pool of money. The safe was never safe at all. So while all these investors are watching their tokens become totally worthless, the executives were allegedly pulling out $200 million. For what, you ask? Oh, you know, luxury cars, private jets, mansions, the usual. They weren't just selling a cryptocurrency. They were selling a false sense of security while planning the robbery from day one. But hey, don't think for a second this is just a crypto problem. No way. The same exact deceptive tactics are popping up in the traditional corporate world, and yeah, probably even on your social media feed. Okay, can you just imagine having the nerve to sell a fake company to one of the biggest banks on the entire planet? Well, that is exactly what happened with the fintech startup Frank. The scam itself was shockingly simple. Frank claimed it helped millions of students with financial aid. But in reality, the founder, Charlie Javis, allegedly paid a data science professor to just invent most of her users. She blew up her customer base from a few 100,000 to over 4 million, and JP Morgan bought the whole lie for $175 million. Now check out this chart. It shows the staggering, just mind-boggling scale of a fraud that started as a simple social media trend. We're talking billions of dollars in fraudulent claims flooding the Australian taxation office, all thanks to a few viral videos on TikTok. So here's how it worked. TikTok influencers started posting these tutorials teaching people how to create a fake business registration number. With that number, you could then file a bogus tax statement claiming business expenses and get a 10% tax refund from the government. It was a classic case of social media's incredible speed, just completely overwhelming bureaucratic slowness. By the time the government even caught on, over $1 billion had already been paid. So these are the kinds of scams that defined the last year. But what's coming next? Well, according to investigative journalist CoffeeZilla, we might be on the verge of a fraud explosion unlike anything we have ever seen. Right. So if these massive, audacious scams were the story of the last year, what new tools are criminals going to use tomorrow? Well, the answer that keeps coming up over and over again is artificial intelligence. And this is where it gets really scary. Here's the warning. The cost of running these scams, hiring people, setting up call centers, managing accomplices, all of that is about to plummet to virtually zero, all thanks to AI. Just think about it for a second. AI solves the biggest problems for criminals. It can make tens of thousands of scam calls or send perfectly personalized phishing emails all at once for pennies. And unlike a human accomplice, an AI isn't going to make a mistake or get nervous or turn on you. It just dramatically lowers the cost and the risk, which creates the absolute perfect storm for a fraud explosion. And all of this leaves us with a really, really unsettling question. As technology continues to blur the lines between what's real and what's fake, how are we supposed to navigate a world where we can't be sure if the person or the thing on the other end of the line is even telling the truth?